broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. Citizens are advised to take the following steps. If exposed, remove clothes. Emergency broadcast system.
Podcast for the curious mind. I don't know what that means.
Broadcasting live, beardless in Dakota, deep within the multifamily bunker. I am Jamal, live with Devin DeLapp, out of Fort Collins.
Yeah,
A lot of energy there. It's been a few weeks, bud. How you doing?
oh, good. And look at you, just all trimmed up. That's what happens when you get a woman, huh?
Yes.
I've been in the background, just saying. I was like, oh, he's got a squeeze.
I do have a main squeeze. And she did mention in passing she'd be interested to see what I look like with a goatee again, which I put up a big fight about, and then proceeded that night to give her exactly what she wanted.
It's all right. You look good.
Oh, thank you, buddy. How you been? What's new in the world of Devin over there and Colorado? I see you got some new gun law bills that had passed. Congratulations over there. How's that?
I read about all that shit yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you can't own a gun now if you're okay. You can't buy a gun if you're under 21 in Colorado now.
Unless you're military. Of course.
Yeah. And then it's okay to own them though.
Okay.
And then the whole thing about manufacturers being liable.
Yeah.
I think that's some horse shit. I don't see how that's
that's not just manufacturers. I believe it's dealers as well now.
Yeah.
So if you sell guns. Now, the argument on the one side of the spectrum is what? You sell a gun to someone who goes and commits a mass shooting, you're going to be held liable for it. Is that the
by anybody that's been you're liable in a way, I guess. I mean, man, you could take that as far as anybody could sue them for emotional damage because they read a news report about it. It flected me. It gave me PTSD. Anybody could sue them now.
It's true though.
And I'm not saying it's not horrible. Don't get me wrong there. I'm not saying those people, aren't fucked up. But you should sue either, a lot of times they kill themselves too. So there's no, the other part is they're angry because there's no liable action because the person that committed it's gone. So there's no retribution at all.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, that's the I mean, there's no closure there, but I mean at the same time, you sell a gun to someone legally, you do your due diligence with the background check or whatever is required by law.
See, this article I read was very interesting because they were taking the point of, that people always say it's not the gun, it's the person, and their whole point was these laws are to help identify the people and not the guns, right? But I'm like, well, then in the same sentence, you're making the gun people liable that sold the weapon to the person. And if you're really going to do something, I feel like people are going to be able to do it. Whether they use legal means or illegal means, making laws about it really isn't going to fix anything. They have a 3-day hold on weapons, which I'm not totally against that.
I'm not against holds, I guess.
No, I'm not against that either because, there's a lot of people who buy a weapon in passionate moment. And then maybe after a day or two of thinking, they're like, you know what, maybe I'm calmed down now. But it's a touchy subject because it is an inalienable right, according to the Bill of Rights. How the way they start wording all these new laws, and they're doing it with everything. It's just we're not saying you can't have one. They're making it more difficult. So
I think that Colorado is lost, my friend. Time to get out of Colorado.
There's a lot of people from California moving here, and it's true. So the rest of the world are, lots of areas are having economic downturns and crazy shit happening. You wouldn't guess it here.
Yeah.
It's Destruction everywhere. And it's like new shit.
Mm-hmm.
New shopping centers.
Now, when you say the Californians are, obviously there's other people moving there, but why are you signaling out the Californians that are moving?
Because they bring in the money. Okay. So, because their state's so like rampant. And so when they sell a house there, they're like, I used to live in California. Like, you call me California transplant too, I guess. But even though I grew up over here, I live in California for a number of years. And I had a condo that I bought for, believe it or not, $137,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Well, I was actually 1.5 bath condo with an attached garage. And I was probably 10 minutes from the beach. Right. Beautiful weather. It was awesome.
San Diego? Is this when you were in military?
This isn't. Yeah, this is when I lived in Vista, California.
Okay.
And I lived there 2 years, and it went up to like, I sold it for like $245.
Nice.
This is like 2000s ish.
Okay.
2002 ish, 2003. Well, now that same condo is like $500,000, you know. And I've ran into people here that moved here from California. One guy was from like San Francisco. They sold their place and they paid cash for a house here in fucking Colorado.
Why you
have a lot of people selling real estate over there for like tons of profit, coming to Colorado and dropping cash on places, or like 50% down, like large amounts of capital.
Why is this concerning? I mean, you said it in a negative tone that Californians are moving there.
Shut up. You know exactly why, because they fucked up their own state and now they're going to go fuck up somewhere else that isn't fucked up quite as bad yet.
Do you think there will be a transition eventually where the market in California collapses?
Oh yeah, it's already happening in San Francisco. There's Whole Foods, multiple stores in San Francisco just closed up shop and said we're out because of crime, blatant crime, and shoplifting.
Well, the reason I bring this up is because moving to South Dakota after being gone for 5 years, there has been an influx of people moving in from other states to here, and it is not being received well. As you can imagine, in a small community such as South Dakota is. And the prediction for Sioux Falls, the town of Sioux Falls, is supposed to double in size within the next 10 years, which it isn't a lot, but it is a lot for South Dakota. I mean, when you go from 200,000 people to 400,000 people in Sioux Falls, when the state's only 900,000 people, it's a huge change of environment, not only with housing, but also politically. I feel like you're probably going to see South Dakota turn a little purplish over the next few years. So it's the same process that happened to Colorado. Colorado was red 20 years ago.
It was.
It didn't take long.
And it's so weird when we, get into politics. I mean, I've gotten to where I've like almost pulled back from it because I feel like it almost feels like there's nothing you can do, like Spike Cohen is trying to start like grassroots movements by starting in just local communities, which I think is the way to go. But you feel so disconnected. And with things like what states are left, when you hear what's going on in Florida, do you agree with that? What DeSantis is doing? I think he's dictatorship. Like, man, he's crazy. Like, I feel like a little bit extreme. But
well, obviously, I hate Disney, so I don't mind watching it happen just for the sheer entertainment value of it. Because I'm now curious to see who will win this fight between DeSantis and Disney, because Disney's countersuing Florida for saying what was the term? It's like revenge or retribution laws or something like that. As long
they're abusing in their First Amendment rights.
How does Disney get to police its own little area to begin with? Like, I mean, how they made that deal back in the 60s when they built Disney, that there can be no interference from the state can't collect taxes off of them, I mean, fuck Disney. I'd like to see them squirm a little bit. They're a huge conglomerate, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, it is dictatorship because
what he did with the books and all that shit. I mean, come on, man.
What do you mean? What did he do with the books? I didn't see.
Dude, like a lot of the shit he's having to do.
Are you texting right now? Are you texting
no,
your
I'm
phone?
playing with my strings on my fucking like. I'm playing with the strings on my sweatpants. Okay, calm down.
Sweatpants Sunday.
Yeah.
I wear the sweatpants too.
He's making like all the teachers like inventory of their libraries and like getting rid of books, like legit books too, not just ones that deal with transsexuality and stuff like that. Like some legit books.
Why are we surprised?
It's bullshit.
I mean, honestly, though, the left does the exact same thing. Do they not? Do they not change out the books?
I hate them both.
Yeah, they exactly both do this exact same thing.
Can we just fucking burn it down already?
Well, that's what they call that, extremism. I believe that's the term, extremist. Just talking. That's coming from Devin DeLab.
Oh, bet.
Hey, Prince Pola is going to hear this podcast, and he's going to be very upset with you.
I feel very disconnected in the world from the world today. I just do.
It's sort of was a blue pill, red pill type of scenario we found ourselves in, where we just dug a little bit. We not even like a third of our time was spent. We just dug a little bit, and we're already like, just where can I go to stick my head back in sand?
Oh yeah, like
you can't though. You can't put your head back in sand.
That's that thing with like ignorance is bliss.
It is bliss, but it's also
really to a degree.
It's also ignorance. You know, do you want to be known as an ignorant man when you get old and die?
Can I be rich and ignorant? Can that be like an option?
That's the American dream, is rich and ignorant. It doesn't work that way though in real life. You know, there's no. I mean, you can be rich and ignorant, but once you already know what's going on, Devin, you can't go back. You can't reset your brain and not see the things that you see now.
For me, and this is the reason why I try not to give a shit anymore, because I believe we're already on a path that's unsavable. Like the dollar is doomed as we know it. You know what I'm saying?
Unsavable from what though? Like a total earth destruction? Or are you talking economy or the way the things have been, the way we know it?
There's going to be a shift of, economic shift, a financial shift to where the dollars we know it's going to change.
Yep.
And there's a handful of people that are prepared for it, and majority are not. And they don't even have a clue how the markets really work, or like how the dollar versus on a global scale works.
What citizen has ever known how it works though? I mean, we're the most educated citizens of citizen history. We are. That's
they teach you what they want you to learn. Like, you don't learn what you need to learn. Austrian economics aren't taught unless you seek it out yourself.
Now we that's what I'm saying though, Devin, is now we can go to other sources and learn how these things actually work, where you couldn't do that 50 years ago. You couldn't even do it 40 years ago. Now you can find out, if you put a little effort in, you can find out exactly where we're standing with everything.
It's true, but people don't want to.
Why do you? Yes, people don't want to. Of course, people want to be the guy stuck with their head in the sand.
I run into this all the time. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn and say I'm successful. But I've been pretty.
Ben Milton.
Holy shit!
Ben Milton says, "Lock and load, boys. Forget the rest of them."
Yeah, that motherfucker. He's down. He's like, fuck it. He lives in Wyoming too. He's just the Iron Curtain of Wyoming, and it's not even an Iron Curtain. It's just a wall of ice. Wyoming is the North. You know what I'm saying? This is where the wildlings go. Mm-hmm. Like, liberals even know not to go fuck around in Wyoming because they'll find out.
Isn't Jackson Hole in Wyoming?
Yes, but that's different. They're like their own little county.
Still, it's not going to take much to turn Wyoming when you build out that area.
Bet. Have you ever been up there?
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, but they're all you need. What is the population of Wyoming?
I believe it's 800,000.
800,000.
It might be less than that, actually.
What's the size of Jackson Hole?
Huh? Jackson Hole is at best like 10,000 people, dude. And that's being generous.
I thought it was bigger. for some reason.
Oh,
Not all the rich people were moving to Jackson Hole.
Yeah, that's. I mean, let me look it up here. Population of Wyoming in 2021. There's 578,803.
So barely over 500,000.
Right. Whole Wyoming. So, 10,849 people live in Jackson Hole. It's like nobody. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not, but that's the strategy, though, isn't it? I mean, we've watched it happen in Colorado. We've watched it now. I mean, Colorado, right? I've got a theory, Devin, right? Because I've watched this process now, and I'm sure you've seen this process too, but it's new to me. So what happens is you get some very high-end corporate companies to come into your city, right? Depends on the industry. Colorado Springs is what Boeing, Lockheed Martin,
the Air Force.
Yeah, and all the military bases and all that stuff. But when you get out to more areas where there's, less commerce taking place, like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, you have the major companies there are like Sanford, which is a hospital. What do they call that? A network of hospitals and clinics. And then there's another competing one called Avera, right? And those, medical professions, high-end jobs for traveling nurses, a lot of that type of money spent in this town. And Denver, I'm sure Denver had its own things. But what happens is now you have a lot of people that got their propaganda through community college, got their business degree or whatever, their associates, maybe their bachelors, and now can only take high-end jobs to pay off this debt. And so these corporations offer them that type of money. And then, boom, you're in the system that was specifically created for it, and it draws more of those people in. Now, these people, probably community college, especially some of the first actual schooling they've had in their life, pinpointed to one area. You're going to believe. I watched it happen to a guy that came from Texas, been on meth his entire life, right? And got a job as an electrician, got accepted into community college, and by the time he was through the first 6 months of community college, his entire viewpoint on like welfare and political systems and things like that had changed. And this is a 40-something-year-old man, just like that. Just like that. And I think that's what happens. And then these corporations move into cities, overwhelm the population, and then eventually these states turn to whatever political party supports that corporation. So in Colorado Springs, it's Republican. In Denver, it was Democrat. In Sioux Falls, it's going to be Democrat. Same, because those are the, and those people can afford to have large families. They have 4 or 5 kids and spread that. It's very interesting do you understand what I'm saying? Am I just talking?
Yeah, but I feel it's irrelevant. That's the whole point of the game, is to keep everybody engaged in these politics and the divide of 50-50. Both parties are fucking corrupt as shit.
Right, but we can admit that both parties, as corrupt as shit as they are struggling for dominance.
They're definitely separate. Yes, they believe certain.
So there's a war, obviously, at all times, and there's different strategies different parties take, and it's interesting to watch. Just from a lot of people have a hard time separating themselves from the chatter. It's like this Bud Light thing that happened.
I could give a shit less. I never really drank Bud Light anyway, but yeah, they probably shouldn't have put that mentally ill person. I'm going to call him that because he
not
is.
Great marketing. Not great marketing at all.
Have you seen the video of him when he was on Price is Right? No. Before he transitioned?
No.
He's fucking mentally ill in that. The way he reacts, and you just watch him how did they make this person the face of their beer can? Wow. Talk about being disconnected from your demographic.
I'm just saying, okay, But look at the. Oh, here I found the video. Should we watch the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the Bud Light one or the Price is Right one?
The price is.
Watch it, dude. You're gonna like wow.
Okay. All right. It's 5 minutes long. We can interject as we.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Watch it. Give me a second here.
On the shit that's going on in France, no one talks about that.
Okay, don't change subjects as I'm just struggling here to get because we should talk. We should talk about that for sure. Share system audio, Price is Right. All right. Dylan Mulvaney wins on The Price is Right.
Look at him.
Let's make it Dylan Mulvaney. Come on down.
Come on down.
Oh, your internet is awesome.
Oh,
it's all lagging and shit. Look. Don't tell me that guy's not fucking mentally ill. Jesus. Fucking Drew Carey. Look at that motherfucker.
I don't even know what the.
Huh?
Oh my God. What?
Why is my phone exploding?
This it. I mean, I knew to mute my phone. What? All right. I want to hear what he said.
Like,
he's a yoga instructor.
In the energy, Dylan.
She's a yoga.
I'm a yoga instructor, and I do musical theater.
No
well,
shit.
Thanks for bringing the energy, Dylan. We have something pretty cool for you behind the door here. What do we got?
A penis. I mean, a vagina.
This foosball table features.
You gotta fast forward to like when he wins.
Okay. All right. To the final part when he wins.
No, like right here. I back up a little bit.
All right.
Back up. Oh my God! Just look at this.
Get everything.
I'm going to say the
Soup. $5.99. It's pretty fancy. It is. Yes! You got it! Dylan's a winner! Dylan, nice job, man.
Drew Carey's just like, I ain't gonna
Look at that.
chase after.
We're gonna spin the wheel right after this. Don't go away, folks.
Look at me. He's like,
Okay.
No.
He is.
What the fuck?
He wanted to be a Price is Right showgirl his entire life. That has to be it, right? That has to be it.
Yeah, it's just, I saw a great video like a woman had made. Like, why are we promoting this mentally ill person as a woman? Like, it was actually a really good video. And women need to take a stand against that shit, by the way.
How many people do you know that went to school and actually used their degree? I know like 3 out of 20. Ben Milton throwing down harsh facts. I take it you didn't go to school.
Ben's the best.
Yeah. No, thanks for the chats. Okay, so that's what I'm saying though, is how we spent a week talking about Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah. I didn't even know who that was before the commercial thing. And then I got some friends still that are like, fuck Bud Light. You know,
We're gonna listen. I'm going.
have you seen anybody drinking Bud Light lately? I've been like going out just to like, whenever I go out, I look to see is anybody. And I heard they're getting hammered by it.
Listen, I love South Dakotans. I do. And I think they're good people. I am a South Dakotan by birth. But I saw a lot of people be like, well, that's why I drink Busch.
Did you tell them Bud Light owns Busch?
I didn't have the heart.
Do it.
I didn't have the heart to do it.
Crush them. Oh, who are they owned by? Is Busch owned by InBev?
I don't know them fancy words, but I know when I open this can, it goes Busch. Get my latte. I can't do it. The girlfriend drinks Bud Light.
Hey, you want to drink it? Drink it.
That's your drink.
Personally, I don't care. I didn't like it before, and just because they promoted something doesn't mean I hate it more. It's equal to me. I believe a company like them can do what they want. If people don't like it, they can vote with their dollar, right? Like they can vote with the money in their pocket. And the same, I've always had the same. My dad has an argument for people who hate oil and gas, or like all the people that think they're snobs driving an electric car and stuff like that. He's like, It's real simple. If you hate the product, stop fucking using it.
Yeah.
And I promise you the price will come down or like go away. But it's never going to go because you're a fucking hypocrite, just like everybody else. They need to come to terms with their fossil fuel use, and they don't want to.
I think we should start a segment when a big story like this breaks, where no one else is talking about anything normal and just focusing on this story. We should see what's actually going on in the news. So like, because I'm sort of curious, because that's all I heard. So I listened to a conservative talk. I'm going to start clipping him. The Greg Belfridge show. Going to call Greg Belfridge out because this guy drives me absolutely insane on my way to work every morning. Just a blind conservative talk show host that appeals to everyone who's 60 and older.
I was going to say, is this the guy that was anti-weed?
Yes.
Same guy?
Yes, same guy. Same guy. Just gets stuck on stupid subjects.
He's the guy that's sitting having a coffee with the early farmers in the morning.
Yes.
Talking about like Obama. He's not even American.
Yes. That is the show. Okay. That is the show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start clipping because he does a podcast. So I'm going to start clipping his parts of his show, just like when I get, because I listen to wake up in the morning. So from 6:20 to 7 o'clock, I just increasingly get more and more angry till about the point where I'm like a block away and I just start yelling at. My girlfriend looks at me every time. She's like, "Is it going to happen this week?" Yep. It'll be a good day. He's awake now. But the Tucker Carlson thing, he could not get over Tucker Carlson.
I don't even know what he did. I just saw that.
And every day, this guy literally will read the transcripts from his show over the past, months I've been listening to him. That's how much he loves Tucker Carlson. That girlfriend confirming. Thanks for watching, babe. So the big story right now, Devin, in the YouTube world is Steven Crowder.
What did he do?
You know who I'm talking about? Louder with Crowder.
I've heard, yes.
Yeah, it's like hard right Republican. Same sort of milieu as the Glenn Beck show and Ben Shapiro.
Okay.
He's the one that keeps the gun in the front of his desk, the Walther.
Wow, is he the next? Did he take the place of the one dude that got sued by the people in fucking Connecticut?
Alex Jones.
Yeah, did he replace Alex Jones?
No, he considers himself more important than Alex Jones, but I think it's funny because he would have Alex Jones on his show.
Okay.
Obviously you don't monetize those episodes, but Alex, that's the only time his show. I mean, he was Louder with Crowder. They do like he wanted his whole premise of the show was to be like a late night show, right? And have like, funny little skits making fun of policies and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That was, and he was the. Do you remember the PBS show Arthur? Yeah, I'm sure it's no. He was the voice of Arthur back in the early '90s.
Is it that shitty ass cartoon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's very generalized way to brush it off. It's that horrible cartoon, right? Yeah. So he had a right-winger comedian that would sit on the third chair, and he was with him for a year. And then all of a sudden, everyone on the show loved him. And then all of a sudden he disappears. And he's just come out last week explaining why he disappeared. And he showed the contract that Louder with Crowder had offered Dave Landau. And, well, before I get into this, let's welcome in. See,
Holy shit!
This would not be allowed on Louder with Crowder.
God damn it, I was hoping that was going to be a beer. You feel like you're disappointed with your Tennessee ass. If it like a Bud Light, that would have been awesome.
Oh, nice little fucking double dude.
As you get to the neck part, it just goes,
You gotta reset your mic because it's on computer audio right now.
Hey Ben, you gotta say hi to fucking May.
So what happened was he told Crowder that or the contract from Crowder to Dave Landau pretty much said that If he showed up 5 minutes late, he'd have to go home and would not get paid for that day. And then if he could only take 1 day off every 3 weeks to go see his family in Detroit.
What?
If there was downtime, he had to just sit down and write as many scripts as he could. And in the phone call, Steven Crowder told him that he owned him. And when Dave Landau went to do his own stand-up, because he's a stand-up comedian, Crowder was going to charge 15% of his earnings from the ticket fees because he's advertised on the Louder with Crowder show. And I guess he's just, well, and in the meantime, it just, and he's like super, this is why I don't get behind people who are flaunt how religious they are, right? Because shit is always going to happen because it's life. So no matter how religious you are or how not religious you are, you're going to have shitty parts of your life and good parts of your life. And it's best not to just, rub it in when it's not you, because that eventually comes back, in my opinion. Well, it's come back for Steven Crowder because he announced that his divorce was finalized. Had kept it secret for 1.5 years. And if you give me a second, I'll pull up the video of him announcing he had gotten divorced. And it's probably one of the oddest things I've ever seen. Let me see here if I can find the because there's just so many different. It's just blowing up YouTube, so it's actually hard to find the actual video.
So where are you going with this? That's why I guess I'm confused.
Steven, well, it's just a big news this guy has ruled YouTube for quite some time. And it's sort of funny to see it all collapse on it.
Right-wing commentator Steven Crowder, who seems to be as toxic as he is publicly in private.
Got to echo.
With people like his wife, his pregnant wife. Disturbing video was obtained by journalist Yashar Ali, and it reveals that the commentator Steven Crowder is berating his wife, and this apparently is one instance of what we later found out was many. In this one clip, it's from June of 2021, and his wife Hillary is 8 months pregnant. This is after a week where Steven Crowder announced that he and his wife were getting a divorce, and weirdly asking why that was legal in Texas.
He asked,
why you
God damn it.
do that.
You're killing me, Smalls.
But then we all got hit with this little slice. So take a look.
Here.
It's like echoey a little bit.
You're boundary abusive. You are not taking the car. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries. There's no groceries. I have steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's not a reasonable request.
Are we listening to a mental breakdown? Huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much is what's going on. I can't find the actual video. He keeps saying over and over again how upset he is that divorce, one party divorce is legalized in Texas. That was the funniest thing I thought. Isn't that such a weird thing to be bitching about?
I guess. See, for me, it's like I don't listen to like talk radio like that, so.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah, but he's all over TikTok.
That Karma's a bitch, right? I guess he's not on my feed.
Does this sound better or no?
That's not bad.
Because I don't know what else to do.
A little high, I think.
Yeah, just bring your gain down. You can bring your video back on there, but
yeah, like
hello.
A lot of all these people, in my opinion, are hypocrites, and they become locked into their own bias in a way. Kind of like how Flat Earth Dave, he's always going to. It behooves him to believe that the Earth is still flat and promote it, and to discredit anything that proves that it's round, because he is financially tied to that belief. And I believe the same when it comes to whether you're a liberal or a conservative or whatever platform you're following, if you become financially tied to it, you definitely are always going to have a bias, and you're never going to lean away from it.
May, turn your gain way down.
Okay.
Dun, dun.
How's that?
That was a little better.
Oh, you're still.
That's all the way.
Really?
Yeah, he's on his.
No,
he's still on his
computer.
Yeah, he must have.
No, I'm on my iPad.
Wow.
Oh, well, you got to change your mic settings.
Damn.
All right,
It's not that bad.
That's nice. I can't stand that echo. It sounds horrible in headphones. Okay, so now let's talk about a little bit about what you want to talk about here, buddy. Let's start it with Elon Musk, though, saying that the fate of the American dollar is doomed. Did you see this? I sent this article.
You sent it to me, but I wasn't able. Dude, I was at like a football camp yesterday and a fucking track meet. I didn't get home till like fucking 8:30.
The U.S. dollar is in decline, or at least it's such a speculation.
Right. These rumors are fed by various
no, it
articles. What are you saying here?
Anyway, so Musk, what he had said is, if you weaponize currency enough times, other countries will stop using it. He said that on April 25th. And now there's discussions about this BRIC. Is that right? That's what I'm talking about?
BRICS nations, which is here's the easiest way to remember it. It's Brazil for B, R for Russia, I is for India, C is for China, S is for South Africa.
They got Brazil and South Africa to join.
Saudi Arabia is going to join it too. And who's the other one? There's a couple other countries that are going to join it too. But if they get the Saudis to join it, though, I heard, like, I wouldn't say I heard, but rumor mill from like all online sources and like just people I follow and, you know, I just kind of study everything. They're saying like August is when the Saudi deal is going to be legit. And then that's when they're going to roll out their, because they started a whole new payment system, right? Outside of the SWIFT system that these countries are settling in, right? Back and forth through their exchanges or whatever. It's outside of the US's fucking SWIFT system that these countries are settling trade, right? Not using the dollar,
right?
But they're going to roll out their currency for that system in August, and it's going to be, and it's not just going to be solely because the yuan. I've seen a lot of things saying the yuan, right? But I is, and then I've seen a lot of stuff saying it's not going to be, and then here's why. And I believe that's true. They're just going to roll out with a whole new currency for them, almost like the euro in a way. You know how the euro is linked all together with Germany and all those countries are linked together. It's going to be very similar to that. It'll be their own currency, but it's going to be backed. It's not going to be a fiat currency. It's going to be backed by a basket of currencies, and maybe gold and oil will help peg it. And when that happens, it's, I wouldn't say it's bad news for the dollar, but in a way it is, because that will become the currency everybody's gonna, like, you know, you used to always hear people run to Swiss francs because there's such a stable currency, and you know, when there's currency fluctuations, the Swiss franc is the best thing to go to because it's usually draws a hard line, steady. Yeah. That'll be the currency people will run to instead of it being the dollar, you know, because now people run to the dollar because they think the dollar's safe, but now there's going to be a better currency available for that to happen.
Well, what about the petrol? What happens to the petrol dollar then? I mean, that's an OPEC nation, right? Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, we'll see that. Well, that's why the news about how Iran and Saudi Arabia have signed their peace deal that China helped broker, right? Because the whole reason Saudi was sticking with the U.S. is because we have a bunch of bases and shit pretty much protecting them from Iran.
All right.
Well, if they brokered a real peace, Saudi doesn't need the U.S. anymore. Now, not to say that some crazy shit won't happen. I mean, that's what happened to Gaddafi, because he was trying to start his own currency that was backed by gold, right?
Yep, the dinar. Wasn't it the dinar?
And they'll use, you know, social media and the news to, like, you know, Gaddafi did have skeletons in his closet. I mean, he did have terrorist ties, you know, way back in the 80s, but still counts. I think war is inevitable. When's it going to happen? I don't know. And whose lines are on whose side. But it's pretty obvious who's who. Now, the U.S. could fight back by backing the dollar by something. And everybody believes it'll be gold, but they'll have to reprice it. You know what I mean? Based off the current dollars in circulation.
What time frame is? I mean, what time frame? They're going to roll out the brick in August. You said, right?
Allegedly, yeah. Which is a couple months away.
Has there been any chatter within? Like, what chatter have you been listening to about this? Because you pay attention to all this currency stuff.
A decent amount. Like, it's a big deal. Like, a lot of the people that are heavy in precious metals really believe the dollar's coming to an end. Now, when I say dollar coming to an end, it doesn't mean your dollars in your pocket are just going to die. Like, it's just going to shift. Like, it'll just become another form of the dollar. And then the U.S. is going to be forced to make it back by something. With this fiat world we've lived in since 1971 is going to end.
Because there's competition now.
There's competition and legit competition.
Legit. Well, Brazil,
there really wasn't.
See, Brazil's a big deal because that's high on the commodities market out here for farmers. You know, I'm always hearing Brazil updates on their beans. You know how their beans are doing. So,
and it's all global trade. That's what's kept the dollar so strong.
Yeah,
global trade. But when they print so much currency, they're really printing enough currency for the whole world.
So now there's an economic world war going on, pretty much.
I believe so. Yes,
we've been at war economically for probably a year and a half, 2 years.
I would say 5 years. This is
with Trump.
It's been going on for a little while.
Yeah, because of the tariffs and all that stuff too.
I think it really started with Iran. Like when we took Iran off the SWIFT system and forced them to, their currency hyperinflated because it went to pretty much zero. They switched to gold and they were trading gold for stuff with Russia and China and other countries. And then the U.S. said, you know what? You can't do that either. Whoop. Took them off the gold exchanges. So then all Iran had was oil. And then we pushed them pushed them into China's arms.
Yep.
And so China trades with Iran and so does Russia. But that's what's kind of formed this whole thing with the BRICS. In India, same thing, like India actually is the largest population on the planet now. They surpassed China. And I think if you take all the populations of the BRIC nations, it's like half of the world's population. Over half is in that side. So if over half switch and they say, we're not going to use dollars anymore, period, that is half the world's population not using dollars anymore that were. Those dollars got to find a home somewhere. Now, if we don't have deflation, yes, gets rid of currency. That's what a deflation is. It's loss of, debts going to zero, getting written off. But that's extreme hardship. That's like 1929 crash. It's the deflationary depressions are very painful, but usually short-lived. What made our depression so bad in the 30s was that the government's intervention of it. And instead of just letting it happen, instead of a year and a half or 2 years of pain, and they stretched it out over a decade. But this time when all those dollars come here, and there's going to be, you think inflation is bad now. I mean, we've just been exporting our inflation on the world to a degree, so doesn't seem as bad here.
Well, that's what they were saying when the financial crisis happened in 2008. They never stopped printing money. It just didn't go to the States. It went abroad.
Right.
So if you now say, hey, we don't need your money anymore. We're using BRICS. Here's all your money back. You're going to take out,
the dollar index will crash.
Huge amount. That's a huge amount to come back.
The dollar index will crash compared to the new currency. And if they're pricing their coffee beans in the new BRICS money, it's still only 10. Let's just call it BRICS for lack of a better word. It's 10 BRICS to buy a pound of coffee.
Well, we've seen the Weimar
and it stays 10 BRICS, but now our currency has dropped so much. Now it's freaking $500 to buy 10 BRICS of coffee. You know what I'm saying? And it gets worse. Then the next thing you know, it's 1,000, and then it's 1,500. While the whole time that pound of coffee stays 10 BRICS. So what's going to end up happening? I believe it'll be hyperinflation. The other A, you're going to have to roll out a whole new dollar, or B, they're just going to. That what they should do, if I was in charge, I would peg it to gold as soon as that happened. do the math, try to get as close as possible, and say, okay, we're pegging it to gold again, and it's $20,000 an ounce, whatever the fuck it is, and it'll be a shock to the system for sure. But if you nail it, it'll be short-term craziness, and everything's gonna be fine. If you go too low, you'll create a big inflation. If you go too high, you'll create some deflation. But if you can get it close, you're gonna be okay. And some people talk about gold confiscation and stuff like that. I mean, that's possible. They've done it in the past, but at the time, gold wasn't free traded, right? Gold was pegged already. So all they said is turn in your gold, we'll give you the dollar equivalent of it. And then once that time limit ran out, then they just readjusted the price of gold to the dollar. This time they're going to have to peg it right from the start because it's free marketly traded. They can't go like, hey, you have to turn your gold in for 2,000 an ounce when it's sitting at 5,000. Everybody's going to be like, fuck you, I need 5,000. You know what I'm saying?
Good thing pegging has become so popular here in the United States.
There it is. You guys see these pictures I'm sharing?
Motherfucker's first words. Yeah, that's from the Weimar hyperinflation, right? Germany.
Yep.
Yeah. And what
That's
happened
pretty
to
much
the Germans? A lot of people don't know. Well, the reason why the Germans had that happen is because they were paying reparations for World War I.
Man, are you still on? You got to lower the gain on that thing.
Man, I've tried. I don't know what else to do.
I don't think it's that bad. Are your headphones that sensitive?
Maybe.
Like it's a little loud, but it's not like crazy.
All right, I'll put it right here.
Just set the mic across the room and then just yell from
way back here. Well, I thought that was the issue before. I needed to be closer to it.
Yeah.
We're
not good like that.
Yeah, we're rusty.
Yeah. But they just printed all the Y-marks to try to just pay off the reparations quickly. They're like, fuck it, we got to get out of this. And next thing you know, they devalued their currency so fucking much.
And sometimes I think that this fight between the left and the right, as vicious as it is wanted, right? Because they want the left to go as crazy as possible, destroy the economy, and then the right can come in with strict laws, strict enforcement, and clean it up.
They never will, though. No, because that's exactly what Hitler did.
It was the promise of cleaning up and restoring the great name of Germany.
It depends on who gets in power. I would argue that.
Well, it's happening right now. I mean,
the debt ceiling coming up in like a month is a big deal.
They're going to pass it.
No, the House passed a version of it. They won't pass the Senate because you have a Republican Congress and a Democratic freaking Senate.
They do this all the time, though.
I know.
Fear.
Here's my point, though. With that, they have to raise the debt ceiling, otherwise we will go into like a major depression. They won't. They're just going to keep printing money because that's the only thing they know how to do.
I'm curious to see what,
and it's going to devalue your dollar even more.
They extended out for a year or what?
It depends. I mean, they could vote to totally get rid of it all the time.
What's up, Sunshine?
Hi, say Sunshine.
Well, I think like it'd be interesting to see when they mention to revisit it because it'll be after August, right? After Brexit.
Were we talking about this before, or was I talking with somebody else? Like if you actually look at the budget of the United States, every year they spend more than they did the previous year.
Right. Yeah.
They spend more.
Show.
You could talk about deficits and whatever, blah, blah. That's different from what I'm talking about. Every year they've spent more than they did the year before. And when you know it's getting bad is when it increased by the amount it increases by. And what you can see now is our deficit is at what, 2 trillion?
I am not aware of
I believe it's 2 trillion.
Sounds low.
Yeah, I thought it was not in the fives.
That's after tax receipts, right? And like all the things the government gets currency from, they're still 2 trillion short on the year to keep status quo.
Yeah.
They always spend more. And what happens is now it's accelerated, right? Before it was like, oh, we're running a $200 billion deficit. Now we're like 250, 300, 500 billion. Now it's 1 trillion. Now it's 2 trillion. What's it going to be next year? 2.5 trillion, 3 trillion? Like it starts to become exponential. And one of the best things I've ever seen someone put together, it's like, imagine a stadium, like a bowl stadium. You start with a drop of water, and that's your deficit. And then you double it, right? Keep doubling it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it takes a long time for it to get fucking half full. But forget that last half, it's just once. You know what I mean? And that's what happens is at first it's not very much. It doesn't seem like much. And all of a sudden, like, oh, we got a problem. Now it's too late. We're at a quarter full. Next thing you know, you're half, and then boom, you're drowning. So it takes a long time to build. Well, when that thing goes, it's just massively goes. And so you're just going to see increasing deficits. And all that is just money printing.
What are the suck pumps in your analogy? How do we get the water out? There's got to be suck pumps.
Okay, the only way they could do it is if they totally collapse it and allow all these companies to just go bankrupt.
See ya.
Which in turn makes all the rich go bankrupt. And you think they're going to do that?
No. I think that's why they're going to...
They'll hyperinflate before they go the other way.
They'll hold on to it as hard as they can.
It could take 10 years. I don't know. You know what I mean?
What's
this BRICS nations things is a big deal, and it could accelerate it at a little bit more clipping pace, like before they really want to.
I think that's the idea, right? You want to push this out on us as quickly as possible and make us figure a solution out.
Because it is almost East versus West. It feels that way, don't it?
Come back.
I've played Risk a lot. You know, your best friends are the ones next to you. Russia, China, India, like they're all right there. You know, the only one that's an outlier is Brazil. Brazil's probably like, hey guys, South America guys, let's be friends, will you?
Well, that's how you always connected from South Africa to Brazil. So they must have played Risk too.
Yeah.
Well, there's, the other interesting fact is how many like African countries are kind of anti-dollar as well. Like they know the jig is up because they've had a lot of their own hyperinflations currently, and they know like you play this game, it's not good.
And the United States cannot be trusted for its word. That's another huge thing. They've made many promises and have broken every single promise, as is tradition. But now the jig is up, and it turns out that extending freedom only applies if you have massive amounts of oil or.
Yeah, and when you say you're Saudi, right? How many? You always see in the news and movies. How rich are the Saudis? Billions, right? Billions and billions. Like the Grand Prince has got billions of dollars. Yeah, they know the jig is up and they're switching.
Yep.
Have you ever seen that movie called? I think it's called Rollover.
No.
It's 1980 something. Like,
how come the Saudis are pumping so much money into the United States with the sports and stuff if they know the jig is up?
That's a good question.
Like Live Golf, they fund the Saudis fund Live Golf. They're supposedly behind the Redskin or the Washington Commanders $6 billion bid for that team.
Because they know it's paper money. Well, there's to buy some hard assets with it.
Okay, I was just asking.
And my other question is, they don't. Not a question.
You yell at them like they're stupid. Yeah.
No, my other would be,
don't you come in here with that shit.
They understand that the U.S. is a superpower. Still, like even if your currency is in trouble, like military is a badass. Militarily we could just go, oh, you're doing what? Not anymore.
Well, what I mean? Are we going to start seeing blockades? Are we going to start not allowing Brazil to receive shipments? Are we going to, it's going to be interesting too, because eventually this is going to, if we're at economic war and it's not resolved, which I don't think it will be, it will soon turn into a Cold War. Very soon.
Possible.
Well, how is it not possible? Sides have already been picked. I mean, the Saudis have switched teams, which is huge. That's a huge switch.
Yeah.
It's a huge switch. Especially with considering how good relations were with the Saudis 3 years ago.
Well, see, here's some good news for people who are getting scared. The U.S. is still like king in gold by like a long shot. I think we have like, I'd have to look up the numbers, but we have like 3 times more gold than the next country that I think Germany's like second. We have 3 times more gold than they do. Huh?
How do we know that's not propaganda? How do we know that's I don't bet me. I said, how do we know that's not you telling me Russia, which takes up a whole continent, doesn't have more gold in its ground than we do?
It's not in the ground. I'm not talking about in the ground. I'm talking about like in vaults.
Okay, well then buy a few shovels and then they're tied all of a sudden.
You think they would dig that shit up? They got it.
They already have been.
It's a fucking butthole.
They already have been.
They call it the open step for a reason. It's fucking flat and miserable.
There's like 3 Rocky Mountain ranges throughout Russia. There's nothing.
And what happens if they open these vaults and it's full of just moths? You know,
it's a fucking lead bar covered in gold spray paint. It's not even like gold plated. It's just
oh, you're talking about.
Well, technically, they never actually gave the money to the Federal Reserve. They actually leased it to them.
Right. Yes.
So,
that's an even funnier story.
Yeah. But in the end terms, like when you're speaking about gold and precious metal, U.S. is king versus China. Even not that they haven't been accumulating, they have been.
Top 10 gold producing country.
You're looking
number
at
one. Number one. Yeah. That means they're mining it now. They're actively mining gold. Number 1 is guess the country, or should I go from 5 to 1?
Go 5 to 1.
Number 5. Our neighbors in the north, with 170.6 tons of gold. 4 is the United States at 190.2 tons. Gold output in the U.S. fell below 200 tons for the first time in several years, continuing a decline that began in 2019. Close to 80% of the gold produced in the U.S. is from Nevada. If the state were its own country, it would be one of the world's top 10 miners. Phantom fact. Number 3, guess this one. By almost double what we're mining. Really?
South
when
Africa.
I say guess, you guys can't guess?
South Africa.
Okay, South Africa. You're wrong. It's not South Africa. Thinking of countries. Please don't say Texas. That's what's going on.
No.
Really? You're just going to shut up on me?
Where's all the Jew stuff buried?
Hey, Argentina! My God damn. Australia is number.
That's what I was going. Australia. It makes sense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure that's exactly. 327.8 tons. In Australia. Number 2. Number 2.
It's your favorite countries, China and Russia, I'm sure. Huh?
Yep. China and Russia. 331 and 368. Accounting for 11% of global mine production.
See, the U.S. holds. See, when I look at holders, U.S. holds 8,134 tons. The next closest is Germany at 3,364 tons. China is down on the list at number 6, and Russia is number 5. In total holdings, we have. Now, this is just reported, but 4 times more gold than China does. And like 3-ish times more.
I don't believe it.
If you want to watch a good movie about like a financial crisis, it's called Rollover, and it's actually about the Saudis pulling out their dollars. It's actually a really good movie. It's got Jane Fonda in it and that famous country singer guy. What the fuck's his name? I think Chris Christopherson.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yep. He would have been in
it. Yeah, he's in it.
Huh.
I watched it. I haven't watched it in a long time, but it's actually a really good movie.
I thought you were gonna say Garth Brooks.
Yeah. No, did you see him being him with Jane Fonda? No.
Yeah. Oh my Lord, man! It's so loud.
It's just the background noise. For
it's
real.
Really,
like,
yeah.
It's a gain thing, right? Maybe it's because it is.
Okay, I can't mute your mic when you do stuff. You can't mute your mic.
Too much.
Thank you, dear Lord. It's not bad when he's talking, but it's like you. It's like I can't even do it because
remember Tito back in the day? You wearing those fucking tracksuit, the fucking windbreaker, just like, can you hold still, bro?
Yeah. Let me type it up here. All right. So collapse has begun. Was what I titled this episode.
Has it though?
I think it happened. Like you said, during Trump when he started pushing tariffs. I think we started the war. Well, and it might be the strategy there is just to get it over with on our side too. Maybe we want to.
Well, see, the thing is, U.S. is we grow a lot of food. Like one of our main exports is fucking food.
Yep.
You know, the world does need that shit. Don't get mistaken.
They've started investing in their own farming too. You see that in India. India, I think, wants to become the bread bowl of that area.
Yeah, my main thing is just pay attention to the BRICS nation deal. If they roll out, you see news, they rolled out their own currency. You might want to go buy some precious metal. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. All right. Good show today. I've been in contact with the team of We Are the Mike Cohen.
That was rough.
Oh.
All right, you've been in contact with who?
The team of We Are the Power with Spike Cohen. So we're going to have a couple of the head ladies come on our show and talk about some of the cases they've been working on, some of the crazy cases they've seen. And then Spike at some point in time next month is going to hop on the show too.
Well, like I said, like local grassroots is really the way to go.
I think it is the solution. I think let's see what happens.
Calling them out like publicly on social media and just in your local areas is massive.
Making local people know what's going on in their own communities is important. I think that's what they've really accomplished here is they've made local people realize, and stories are starting, with that West Virginia cop, the stories that started coming out of that town because of the sheriff's corruption and how he'd been treating families there. None of that would have ever come out if it hadn't been for his daughter drunk driving. So, and them getting a hold of information on it. There's a bunch of cool cases going on. I talked to Brian Lambeck. They were dealing with the DHS or the CPS incident in Texas, where the girl was taken from the parents. One of the ladies that works on the legal cases of that is out of Des Moines. And so we're going to have her on the show because it's pretty prevalent in a lot of states. Texas is really bad. So is Iowa. So anyway, I'm no time frame yet on that, but we are in the works to get those people on, which I'm sort of excited about.
It's amazing in this day and age what people will tolerate from their government. Isn't it? I feel like it'd be so epic. I would turn into the Punisher real too fucking quick.
It's a mixture. Right.
Don't you think it's just been not beaten into us, but it's just been so rinse and repeat that, I think a lot of those people have that mindset where they're just like, let's get the KY out today. What are they doing? What's any different than any other time?
Well, and what's the solution too? Like you say, you go Punisher on these people. I mean, that's obviously not a solution.
Yeah. I like what Spike and his team are doing, though, because it gives all these people something else to listen to and get their information from instead of just turning on the local channel 2 or 5 and being like, getting fed, the script. Instead, his team is finding out, the shit that no one's talking about and informing the people, and the people are actually taking it and being like, wait a second, this is adding up. We need to pay attention to this. So
everything's highly censored. Like, unless you really go seek truth, like you won't find it anywhere easily accessible.
And there's
the opposite will be in your face.
It's a weird, because you're using social media sites that these people love, right? They're in love with their social media sites, and you're using that to bring accountability upon them by using trolls and stuff like that to just bomb your social media sites with, something shitty you've done. I mean, look at that one judge that went in for that divorce and forced herself into the man's house and then proceeded to pick out the stuff that should go to his wife, and he was trying to record her. The judge, we're trying to record the judge, and she told him that she was going to send him into prison and all of that stuff. And it got to Spike's team there at We Are the Power, and now that judge has forced to resign and will never be able, removed from. Was it the bar or whatever, whatever.
Yeah. Lost her license, right?
Yeah, and as she should have, because that's a person on a power trip that has abused their power and bastardized the actual legal system. And I think when it comes to some of these CPS cases, and it's a sensitive subject because obviously there are some horrible parents in the world, and kids need to be rescued from that. So, I mean, they serve a purpose, but when it starts to abuse power based on opinion, it gets ugly really fast. And it's nice to see, and there's no accountability because it's all hidden. You can't get court records; those are sealed. So it'd be it's nice to see. So it'd be nice to have them on the show. Anything you guys want to say? Final thoughts, Devin, before we head out for the day.
No, just be safe.
Really? Like parting words of wisdom. Be safe. Be warm.
If you want to buy your weapons, go to Wyoming, I guess. You can't go to Colorado anymore.
Okay, there you go. See? Yeah. What do we learn? There we go. What do we learn today? If you want to buy your weapons, go to Wyoming.
What happened? What happened?
Oh, yeah. Red flag law.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta be 21. You can now sue. Now you can sue manufacturers and dealers if has something happen to you and your family. What was the other ones?
3-day waiting.
Too much 3-day waiting period now, which I'm okay with that one a little bit. Just
that sucks.
Gun control stuff. Yeah.
Prince Polis out there protecting the world.
Mm-hmm.
May, what did you learn today?
It was great seeing you guys.
All right. Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a good evening.